Hi there, and welcome to the first round of a playlist that's going to be called Unpopular POVs. This is inside the brand Know Yourself Well. My name is Kendra, and I train people who are awakening into higher mind mastery. But that is more about my brand. Let's get down to this playlist and how it's going to serve. What I'm doing here is I'm taking popular isms and we are deconstructing them and decoding them and unbypassing them through a brain breakdown so that there is some more critical thinking, so that there is focus and clarity in what might be coding your conscious or subconscious mind. So let's begin. I've got three statements today that all have been passed around, maybe not necessarily inspected or digested or even truly considered. The first one that I'm sure plenty of you have heard: faster alone, further together. This falls in the category of underthinking because it hasn't really been audited. It sounds great. Maybe for some people it even feels great. Oh yeah, together and further. Maybe being speedy is wrong. Maybe having some velocity to what I'm doing isn't the best answer. Let's reconsider this. Let's flip it around and just take a look at the underside of this. The problem that this sentence poses for certain people is, one, we haven't really looked at who the together people are. Should I be with people who are in proximity to me? Should I go further with ones who are completely congruent with what I'm doing at the moment in my life? Should I get a bunch of other artists to do this? What is further? Have we thought about the quantitative? Are we even trying to measure that? Or is this just a phrase that really doesn't have any sort of correlation to it, and certainly no causation? The second thing to consider is faster alone. I'll tell you, if you get locked in with the right, for lack of better words, I know it's very corporate speak and a buzzword. If you get plugged into the right synergy, if you are together in energy, you will go so much faster, not alone. I have people that are my project managers who, as soon as I delegate something, it takes off like a rocket. And there are people who use me in return as their catalyst. So let's reconsider. When can I go faster alone? When I've eliminated people who are at different speeds or cadences than me, who have a different vision than me. Two of the hardest words to put next to each other in our society, in our human experience, are we agree. Because I think everyone sees everything ever so slightly different, even if their opinions really do match well. When else can I go faster alone? When my idea doesn't have to be paused and explained. If it's a relationship, a one-to-one with myself, I can get plenty done. When I do go further together, I am linked in with the type who satisfy same caliber of talent, same velocity, same expectations. We're authentic about our blind spots or where we might get stuck, and we've been very transparent about what we can and can't do in the time that we're thinking about attempting this. So that's the first statement that I wanted to deconstruct. The second one is, so-and-so walked so that you could run. This is extremely uninformed, and it lacks, again, causation or correlation. I happen to really like certain musicians, so let's take an example of Madonna walked so that Britney Spears could run. That is pretty easy to prove as false because they had very different environments, they had very different teams helping produce and push them forward or create opposition. We all know that Madonna had her fair share of pushback regarding how she wanted to express herself. Brittany had her fair share of pushback as soon as she became financially successful from her own parent. And that's when we all learned the word conservatorship. So the idea of somebody walking so that I can run, here's where that can be true, is if a human being has created a paradigm shift. For example, when Benjamin Franklin discovered electricity, the entire world was existing without this utility. He goes into the unfamiliar and brings back a familiar, much like Prometheus going up the mountain to the gods to steal the fire to bring it down to the mortals to enlighten them and change and transform their awareness. That's perfectly acceptable and understandable. What makes the most sense is when you can give acknowledgement and recognition to somebody who opened a door and made a path easier. Going back to Madonna and Britney, was it easier for Britney to be a pop sensation as a blonde female with dance abilities because we already had a recognizable version of that? Sure. But of the two, we know that one is a stronger writer. We know that one is a stronger musician. Believe it or not, Madonna plays multiple instruments. And we know that one has a stronger relationship to voice and articulation and message. Now, as far as performing artists, Britney has her own strengths that had nothing to do with Madonna, and if Madonna hadn't happened, we'd be looking at her as a wonderkind, which she was and still is. Nobody can have that level of command that doesn't have any repel to it. Britney Spears is pretty challenging to dislike or not at least give credit to. She has a fantastic presence. She has potent charisma. She is a force as far as dancing. And that's why these two really aren't apples to apples. So next time you hear that phrase, think about what's not being said about the two that are in a comparative relationship or dynamic in that sentence. And then the last one I want to bring you to is, you can do anything you put your mind to. And when I asked people before I decided to post this video, which one do you think is least accurate? Which one's least popular in your opinion? And most people voted this one, is because what it does is it is very polarizing. It is highly conditional. You have to look at a couple things. What is the mind at its current state being put to? And then what are the external blockages or opportunities that said person has? Somebody 6 feet tall can not be passionate about basketball, but automatically do better simply with base level focus and ability than me at 5'4" with all the passion in the world and 15 hours in the gym and the best coaches. It really flattens and reduces and simplifies some of the fact out there that we're disregarding what we have. We're too busy bypassing that and trying to override what we might have not or don't have. People who are deficient at math are always going to struggle more against me, who happens to find it very easy breezy and natural to understand. The conditioning aspect, somebody like, let's look at Alyssa Liu, who just won Olympic gold in figure skating. You can see the nurturing and the support and the resources that her parent had to get her on this track and remove obstacles and challenges, versus Tanya Harding, who didn't have the aesthetic, who didn't have the money to have beautiful costumes or to look the part or to present better. So that's not a I can do anything I put my mind to. And let's be honest, I'd like to bring in a little bit of non-physical or spiritual to this conversation. Is what if that thing you want so badly isn't in your best and highest good, is not a component or an ingredient in your path in this lifetime, and has no support or additive quality to your fate and your destiny. Consider that. Those are the 3 that I wanted to myth bust today. And if you like what I'm doing, you can take a look at Know Yourself Well. And that is higher mind mastery through intuition, intention, integration, and often using the key of leadership astrology. I'll have all my links below. You can check out any sort of self-led workbooks. You can find me on Instagram. And other than that, I will be back next week. Sometimes the conversations will be things I've thought of myself. Other times it will be a statement, question, or topic submitted by some of my clients and students around the world. I will happily let you know which is which and who's taking ownership of everything. Thanks for listening. I'm looking forward to seeing you again.